The terrifying moment when it all began. A super earthquake and nowhere to hide. And then an even greater horror. A tsunami that sent a giant wall of water racing towards the coast, tossing cars, boats and buildings like fragile toys. It was exactly 2:46 p.m. local time when the earthquake struck. This was in the local government office in the city of Sendai, close to the epicenter. Papers, furniture, nothing was safe. This was the local air terminal where the ceiling collapsed. As far as hundreds of miles south in Tokyo, offices, homes and shops shook and rocked, leaving some people in tower blocks trapped without escape.
When it really started to get quite serious, the shaking, at that point I just thought, I could possibly die now. I mean, this is, I don't know if I can get down the stairs in time to reach the bottom floor. And then I also had my wife screaming down my ear because she was working in one of the buildings in Tokyo.
For those living by the coast, worse was to come. The 23-foot tsunami triggered by the quake reached the shore with terrifying speed. Boats broke away from moorings, splintering as though made of matchsticks. Whole buildings collapsed into the water. These images from Japanese TV show the terrible power of the water, sweeping away whole shipping containers and crushing buildings like tin cans. One entire ship carrying dozens of dock workers was simply swept away. Here in Miyako, the entire port was submerged. Cars and vans and even houses were swept up in the swirling current. One building here on fire. And further inland, the black wall of water continued its relentless onslaught over fields. Thick with debris, it absorbed everything in its path. Many abandoned homes were left half underwater. Not everyone managed to get away. In Tokyo, the tremors also caused havoc at the Parliament building. The Prime Minister went on television to brief the nation.
It was a very strong earthquake. And in the Tohoku region, mainly and over a wide area, damage has been inflicted. I offer my deepest sympathy to the people who have suffered the disaster.
And a further cause for alarm, damage to infrastructure. This oil refinery east of Tokyo caught fire as a result of the quake and then exploded to rage out of control. The flames billowed over 100 feet into the air, blazing like a fireball for hours. There were also, worryingly, incidents at 2 nuclear plants. They shut down automatically when the tremors began, but a small blaze started in the turbine hall of one, and the cooling system failed in the other. Local residents were evacuated as a precaution. Transport links in the region hit by the disaster were also affected. In some places, roads buckled or cracked wide open, leaving gaping holes. Other coastal roads were swept away, or motorists found themselves stranded on bypasses, watching the swirling muddy water below, littered with debris, smashing into the embankment. And the airport in Sendai was completely submerged. The water crept up the runway. Passengers took refuge on the roof of the terminal building. In Tokyo, thousands of commuters were stranded when rail and road links ground to a halt. The BBC's Tokyo correspondent, Roland Burke, witnessed their desperation.
Just look at this, a huge line stretching down into the distance, people waiting to catch a bus. There are thousands of people, millions of people on the streets of Tokyo tonight. All trains have been suspended. The official advice, if you're safe, is to stay where you are. But after the shock of this afternoon's earthquake, many people just want to get home.
As nighttime fell, fires were still breaking out in the places that bore the brunt of the disaster. Rescue teams reported they'd found hundreds dead in Sendai and more bodies in other places. Many people are still missing. Aftershocks have continued. On this day of catastrophe, the scale has been so immense, it's hard to absorb it all. Bridget Kendall, BBC News.